Hi, this is Mrs. Shane with Star Academy Art, and today we're going to talk about how to add watercolor to your Paul Klee cat and bird. So last week we talked about drawing the bird, and now we have done a drawing of the cat and the bird, and we've talked about how Paul Klee really worked in shapes, and when he did drawings and paintings, he divided them up into very simple shapes, which you can see that we have in this drawing. So within each of those shapes, we are going to color or watercolor each one a different color. Now I know that the color is going to repeat itself somewhere, but if I paint this part of the eye orange, I can't paint this part of the head orange too. So no color should be right next to each other, so you want to switch colors as you go. Now when we add watercolor, we just want a little bit of water on our brush. We just put a little bit of water on our brush and then we dab it into the watercolor palette in the color we want. If we put too much water, then the color isn't going to be very bright on the paper and the paper will get all bubbly. So I'm just dabbing a little bit of water into the color, and then I'm going to very, very carefully paint. You can see that when I'm painting, I'm being very, very light with my paintbrush. Very, very gently. And all of the directions that I'm painting are going back and forth, back and forth. I'm not scribbling around, and you can see the tip of the brush stays at a nice fine point. It does not get all mushed up like that. Mushing it up is not what we want and will not make a very nice picture. We want the brush to stay very nice and together like that. Now when we switch colors, we're going to take a little towel, paper towel, and we're going to dab what was on that color off. And then we're going to dip a little bit more water in, wet the color palette that we want, and then we start in on the other color. If we want the color to be a little darker, we'll get a little more until we get it the color. Again, notice how the brush, I'm going back and forth, and all of my lines are going in the same direction. I want to be very, very careful when I get to the edges, because sometimes the watercolor will go into the other section, and if that happens, that's okay. But when you're painting in watercolor, you really do want to take your time. It's not like coloring, and you don't want to go fast because you don't want it to make it look like it's scribbling. So as I'm painting, I'm taking my time, I'm dipping a little bit of water. I do not have a lot of water in the paint palette, just enough to make the color go onto the paper. And after I've done each section, again, I wipe the brush to get the blue off. It goes off very, very easily. Dip a little bit, look for a new color, and then I add color. You notice again, I'm not adding color, the same color in the space next to it. I can use purple again, but I'll use it down here, farther away from the purple in that space. Taking my time as I'm going, having the brush strokes go side to side. And that is how you add watercolor to your Paul Klee cat and bird.